November 13, 2020, Wacker Polysilicon North America in Charleston, Tennessee. One worker was killed and 2 others were seriously injured when attempting to escape a hydrogen chloride gas release. An additional worker was injured from exposure to the hazardous hydrogen chloride. On the morning of November 13th, Wacker issued a work permit to Jake Marshall to perform maintenance on a heat exchanger's vapor outlet piping. The work was to be done while hydrogen chloride was actively flowing through the piping. The Jake Marshall contractor's task was to tighten bolts on the heat exchanger's vapor outlet piping in order to minimize leaks. The amount of force required to tighten a bolt is based in part on the materials of construction of the equipment being connected. The amount of force is called the torque requirement. The vapor outlet piping included both a nozzle made of graphite and lined piping constructed of carbon steel. In this case, the torque requirement for bolts connecting steel to steel is higher than the torque requirement for bolts connecting steel to graphite, as graphite is a very brittle material. But on the day of the incident, Jake Marshall pipe fitters were not given written specifications for every bolt they would tighten. A Jake Marshall journeyman provided an apprentice pipe fitter with a torque wrench set to 40 foot-pounds, which is the setting for tightening the steel-to-steel connections. After tightening the bolts requiring 40 foot-pounds of torque, the pipe fitter then used the torque wrench to tighten bolts on the steel to graphite connection. But the manufacturer recommended torque value for those bolts is only 15 foot-pounds. As a result, the bolts were inadvertently over-tightened. At 10:04 a.m., the excess torque applied to those bolts caused the heat exchanger to crack. Hazardous hydrogen chloride released to the atmosphere between the workers and the only available staircase. Within 15 seconds, a large hydrogen chloride cloud filled the area, preventing the workers on the platform from seeing their surroundings. The apprentice pipe fitter quickly moved away from the release. As he did, his chemical suit became entangled on surrounding equipment and tore open. This exposed him to hydrogen chloride, which caused chemical burns. In the chaos, he bumped into equipment on the platform, which knocked off his respirator. Although he was located closest to the staircase, without a respirator, he could not pass through the hazardous cloud to exit. Instead, he moved to the opposite side of the platform, where the other contractors had been working. 3 of the 4 Penn Gulf employees put on their escape respirators. But without chemical suits, they were unable to walk through the cloud to reach the staircase located on the opposite side of the platform. Instead, they attempted to climb down piping on the side of the structure, which was approximately 70 feet high. While climbing down, all 3 fell to the ground. 1 worker was fatally injured from the fall, and 2 sustained serious injuries.